Hello, everyone. This is Joe Siegel here in the Los Angeles area. I'm burning for you to find out about Bernie Sanders. So, just want to check in with you all and see how you're doing, tell you a little bit about what I'm doing in my day and how I share what's going on with Bernie Sanders in our campaign to restore the middle class to America and take our country back from the billionaire class so we can all have a fair shot of living and thriving together in a more healthy, dignified America. So I went out today to run my errands and went to the bank, and I was talking to a guy in front of me in line, as I tend to do now. I engage people around me as much as I can about voting and making our community and life better here in America for each other. And of course, I wear my Bernie hat that I made, and we're talking about how they're automating everything in the bank. And I talked to the bank manager about not replacing human beings with robots, that people need jobs for human dignity and to feed their families, and they assured me that they weren't firing anybody. And so the man in front of me turned around and said, yeah, right. And if that were true, they wouldn't have these machines here in front of the teller windows. But anyway, he said, the problem is this high minimum wage. And I said, I put my hand on his shoulder. I said, really? I said, well, I respectfully disagree. When I got out of high school in 1980 in Culver City, I worked a minimum wage job, but then the income went up, and I got a job working in a print shop and working as a graphic designer. And in 1980, 81, I was making $10 an hour. I talked to a lot of people in their 20s and even 30s. They're not even making $10 an hour here 30 years later. And that's not funny. It's just our wages have not kept up with inflation. But I explained that if you look at the productivity charts, they rise at this huge arc since that time. People are making a lot more at the top, but we haven't shared in that. We workers are on that same chart. I wish I could show it to you here. Maybe I'll cut it in later. It's like a flat line. It's barely gone up. So what's happened? All that money in between, that gap, that's been taken by the very, very few at the top, who for some reason think that growth is God and they need to have everything. And a lot of them have more money than they could ever spend in their lives. I'm not against big business succeeding. I just want all of us to succeed fairly with them. And so does Bernie Sanders. And so when I started explaining that to him, that back before in the 1970s and before, when I was a kid, business had about 30% of the economy, of the growth in the economy, of the gains, and the working people had 70%. And we all did well. My siblings went to state colleges for virtually free here in California, and they've all contributed to the society, to the tax base, making good money. And one brother's a teacher, and another is a consultant and a CPA, and they've done well. And my dad was able to put us through school on a blue-collar job with his GI Bill, and this government, socialist program of a GI Bill, and able to buy a house, a modest house, in a nice middle-class area for driving a Helms bread truck, delivering milk, and working for the post office. And that's how it used to be all over America. People can get out of high school and not have to go to college, go work in Van Nuys at the GM plant and make really good money. And there were other blue-collar jobs like that. I worked in a factory as a lathe operator. I made good money. And I didn't need a college degree to do it. I just needed to stand there all day turning a lathe and being part of the machine, which didn't quite work out for me because I'm a creative person. But hey, a lot of people do that. And then NAFTA happened. I explained to this nice gentleman, slightly older than me, maybe 10 years older than me. And what happened? We lost over 60,000 American middle class factory jobs. Not factory jobs, factories. Entire factories shut down. And so I explained that to him. He said, yeah, you know what? Ross Perot was right, and you're right, and Bernie's right. We need a middle class. He's a business owner. He's making his business deposit. And he says, yeah, you know what? You're right. Wages do need to go up. We do need to support companies that are local, who create local jobs for local families. And he said that he does that himself. And so it was a great conversation, and those are the kind of conversations I think create ripples out throughout the community, and people learn what Bernie Sanders is really working for. To work with us to create a political revolution of greater awareness and consciousness that if we want a fair country, a fair society, that we need to work together for it. We need to vote in every single election, not just the presidential ones. We need to talk to our neighbors and advocate with our politicians for our priorities, and keep calling them on the phone and protesting if we have to. And that no president's going to fix anything for anyone. Without Americans out in the streets sometimes, talking to each other, creating a buzz that we need American priorities, American jobs, to have rising wages and dignity, healthcare, education, the things that really matter, not the stuff they talk about on the news, the polls on who's 10 points ahead or 10 points behind, on this corporate network or that corporate network. That's not what people, Republicans, Libertarians, Independents, Democrats, that I talk to them all, that's not what they care about. They care about their kids being able to pay their college tuition, their college debt, after they went to learn to become a doctor and serve their community, and they've got $100,000, $200,000 in debt, and everybody is so stressed out. With blood pressure medicine, diabetes medicine, and it's just not the America that I wanted to grow up in and help build. And it's not the America that we should have our kids grow up in. So we need all of us to vote for somebody who's going to fight with us. Like Bernie Sanders walks the picket line with workers, with communication workers, to get fairness in their contracts. Someone who's going to organize us and say, you Americans need to vote in every single election. You need to stand up for each other, not just yourself. And growth, it's not about just making more profits for big shareholders and CEOs. Growth should be about growing stronger as communities together, growing stronger and healthier. That's growth. That's what America should be. We could do that, everyone. Just talk to your neighbors, talk to people while you're in line, tell them about Bernie Sanders, share, make a business card up and share with them about, like I did for this website, Build Solutions 4.us, has a great Bernie Sanders talk on it, and tell them about BernieSanders.com and ask them to check him out. Like I did after the bank, I went and got a cup of coffee, and I said, hey, hi, how's your day going? How's your life? And she said, great, I'm looking forward to getting off in a few hours. And I said, well, you know what? Are you a registered voter? And she said, I am. And people take such pride when they say that to me. I am. And I said, great. Have you heard of Bernie Sanders? And she points to my hat. And she says, yeah, I've heard of him. And I told her that, he's in favor of a dignified life, of good health for every family in America. And I wish you would take a look at him and what he has to say. And I shared a little information, gave her one of my cards. And she said, thank you so much. I'm going to do that. That's what it's about. Being a citizen is participating and sharing what we believe will make life better for each other, and not yelling at each other and judging each other. But it's really about love and compassion and understanding and listening. And so thank you for listening. My name is Joseph Siegel, and I'm just a regular Joe citizen here in the San Fernando Valley out in Los Angeles, California, on a really sunny day in November. I love you all, and feel the burn. Thanks.